In Physical Geography Assignment 6A, you are going to be exploring watersheds in the United States using lines and polygons in Google Earth. I've given you one file, which is of the major U.S. watersheds that I have up on Google Earth right now. And you're really only going to be using this to identify a watershed that you want to use. I'm going to use the Delaware watershed, and I'm choosing that because it's relatively small and easy to find. It also has some interesting stream patterns in it as well, and you might need to hunt around a little bit for some intriguing stream patterns. Don't use one of the really large watersheds. The data are just too complicated and will slow Google Earth down considerably. Once you've chosen an area you want to look at, you can go to this page, which shows all the watersheds. And you can see the Delaware is on there, and I've already downloaded that data set, and I have brought it into Google Earth. So here is that one. I'm going to turn this layer off and turn on the Delaware watershed, and you'll see that it appears right here. Now, one thing I want you to do is I want you to get rid of layers that you are not going to be using in order to keep things working better on Google Earth. And that includes the watershed characteristics layer right here that you can just highlight and delete. And then underneath the watershed layers themselves, keep the boundary, which is that red line, but get rid of the land cover and also get rid of the population cover. That is going to leave for you the streams, the boundary, and the elevation. If we zoom down here a little bit, the reason I've asked you to keep the elevation on there, I'm going to turn the streams off for a second, is so that you can really see some of the interesting topography underneath. And that might help you not only to identify a stream pattern, but then to figure out what that stream pattern is actually showing you. And you will need to go to the text to find out what some of the interesting stream patterns are and cross-check the patterns you find with what you see here. I'm going to turn those streams back on, and I'm going to, for the time being, turn off that elevation layer so I can see things a little bit. Usually when you bring up stream patterns like this, you'll see so many lines that you automatically go to the dendritic stream patterns, though dendritic patterns are sometimes hiding other patterns that are behind there. And the best way to figure that out is to open up the stream landforms and filter out some of the very small streams. And I'm just going to, on this one, filter the very small streams off of the map, and automatically you can begin to see that there are some very interesting what are called trellised patterns in here. And those trellis patterns are here because of the very distinctive ridges and valleys that we find throughout this area. What I'd like you to do for this assignment is, number one, make the modifications to the KML file as I've done right here. Number two, identify the stream patterns that you find, and there may be more than one for any particular watershed. And then number three, I would like you to discuss those stream patterns and what you learned about them. And so I guess I'm adding the number four, is to take a look at the polygons and lines and reflect a little bit on how having lines allows us to filter and see the different patterns, and how the polygon overall allows us to see the watershed. So those are the elements that you are going to want. You're going to have to save this whole file right here by clicking on it and making sure it's highlighted, and then go ahead and save this file as a new place. And I've called it Delaware Watershed. You'll want it to be a KMZ right here, just so that there's no confusion with other ones that you have created. You might want to give it a little additional name. So I'm just going to call it edited, and I'm going to save that here. Once you've done that, in theory, you should be able to get rid of this watershed layer that I have right here, and then go and open that other watershed up. And I put mine on the desktop, so I'm going to go find it on the desktop. But there is the edited watershed, and I've turned it on right here. And you can see looking at it that it only has those layers that I had before. One last thing I'm going to show you if you want to be a little bit of a keener and maybe get a slightly higher mark here is that you can edit each of these different layers in here within the streams. So let's say that this purple one that shows the largest streams, which is 250 to 500 cubic meters per second, you can actually click on that and click on the properties and go ahead and say OK to this, and it's going to bring up a little window right here, and you can go in and you can modify the colors, or more useful, you can change the width of this so that it's a little bit wider and we can see it a little bit more prominently. And we could do these for each of the layers, and then you have a slightly better KMZ file for sharing. The last thing I'll note is that when streams and rivers hit flat bodies of water like the ocean or major lakes, they often do some pretty crazy things and go straight line on us. Don't worry too much about those, no matter where your watershed is. What we're really focused on is what those overall patterns are.